G'day, Justin Hawk from RightSource, week 4 of not talking about numbers. So today we're going to talk about the end. How do you exit your business? What is your exit strategy? Part of the journey is the end. And when you start a business, you should always have in mind what is your end game. It's part of your goals to an extent, but it's like everything we do in life, it doesn't go on forever. So you should have an idea of, well, sure, during my business I'm wanting to do X, Y, and Z, but then how do you want to sign off? What's the last show? There's no right answer here. It's really about what you want. What we'll talk about today is the 3 specific ways that you could exit a business and what to think of when you're going through that. The first step about thinking about an exit strategy is actually thinking about, well, how do you want to leave? Now, the first way and the most obvious way is that you create a business to sell it. So your exit strategy is to sell the business or to sell what has value in the business. So the important part when you're looking to sell a business is to understand not what you value in the business, but what the market values in the business, because you're creating something to sell. So you need to create value for whoever wants to buy this. Now, that can be through the location you're in, it could be in assets you own like land or buildings, it could be in regards to the IP, so your intellectual property, how you do things, discoveries or patents, or it could even just be the customer list or the brand recognition that you've generated over the time of having a business. Understanding what this value is and how you're going to create it while you're on your business journey, and then what you're going to look to sell at the end, will allow you to create a structure, a business structure that allows those pieces of value to be sold easily. Because if that's your end game, if that's what you want to do at the end, is to create value to sell, you want to be able to make sure that 1, it's very easily identifiable, and 2, when it comes time to sell, is actually very easy to sell. Some businesses I've seen, and one I've worked with specifically recently, they wanted to sell their cafe. That's why they set it up in the first place. They set this cafe up to drive business and then to sell it. Unfortunately, the way that they had decided to set their business up was they had 3 other businesses working in the same structure. So trying to sell this as part of some other businesses that had nothing to do with it made it very hard for anyone wanting to buy the business to understand what it was they were buying and to actually just buy the bit that had value. So that's the first process in terms of exiting, is about if you want to sell, make sure you identify what you want to sell and that is easy to actually sell when you get there. The second way to exit a business is to hand it down. Now, that could be either to another business owner joining the business, or it could be to a family member. There's no wrong or right here. It's about you wanting to actually keep the business whole and pass it to someone where there's a predetermined way of doing that. So the process of handing down a business isn't so much about value, though you do want to understand how much your business is worth. You do want to understand how you're going to value your business. And this is about how you're going to value your business, not necessarily how someone's going to buy the business. But in understanding the value, you also want to understand the process of handing down. So this is more about the steps that are going to be taken in handing that business on to somebody. So if you're looking for the process to be about people buying in, so it's a handover through getting other partners in and slowly exiting the business, well, you need to understand what that process is of how do they buy in, do they get a loan, how do the agreements form, and so it's a process thing. If it's about handing it down to your kids or your family or bequesting it to somebody, again, it's a process. How is that process going to work? And building your documents and the way the business runs now that fits in with that process of the handing down process. The last way is just to let the business peter out. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's the easiest way. I just close the door and we're done. That is not how you finish a business. In fact, that can often be the worst way to finish a business. If you want your business to just be something you run and then at the end of it, you slowly wind it down and say thanks and move on to your next phase, there's still a process you want to go through with that, and it's about making sure that you have a clean exit, because the business will cease at that point. So you want to make sure that the business is tied off neatly and there's no loose ends. So again, this isn't necessarily about the value, it's a little bit more about the process, but it's about being measured in your approach. So when you want to taper down and leave a business, you want to first make sure that all your debts are paid, so any tax liability, any suppliers, any employees, they're all paid what they're entitled. You've planned to be able to pay what they're entitled to. So it's either through, like if it's going to be a quick taper down through redundancies, or being able to let people go and do, again, that sort of slow down of your business in a measured way. That way, by making sure all your liabilities, all your debts are paid at the end, you then can go through a process of going, well, what's left in terms of assets, and going through, again, getting the right advice in a non-rushed way of how to pass those assets either to yourself, leave them in the company for a period of time in a way that's measured and gives you the most benefit of tapering that down. Once that's all done, you can then close the doors when there's nothing left. Close the company, say goodnight, and say thank you in a dignified way. So that's how we exit businesses. There's 3 ways. Now, 3 different ways, very different outcomes and different strategies. None of them are wrong. And really it's about what you want in your business, and in some respects what you want to get out of it in the end. Cool, thanks for joining us. Again, if you like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe. If you're interested in other videos in terms of running your business and tips or templates, there's some good stuff that we've done in the last couple of months in terms of some templates that you can use, so feel free to check those out. Otherwise, I'll see you next week and next month here on YouTube.